Hey guys, Sandy with Urban Rebel Designs here. Today we're going to be working on this gorgeous old gentleman's chest. I don't have the mirror out here to show you, but it has a little oval mirror that attaches to the back. Then we're going to be doing something special too. The idea behind the design is a take on the American flag. So the first thing we have to do is get our base coat on. And we're going to do something special to the top, so we're just going to ignore the top for right now. And we've got to get started with our base coat. Now, you know me, I'm going to age it. So what I want to do is more of a wash. So what I have done is I have taken my Sweet Cream paint by the Plaster Paint Company. You can see it there. And I have thinned it out a little less than 50% water to paint ratio, and we're just going to get started getting our whitewash on. Then when that's dry, we're going to tape off our flag and you can watch me do that. So what I want to do is I want to start by misting the area that I'm going to be working in, and I'm going to be working in kind of thin, wide areas. So I just got some water on that, and now I'm going to take my paint and we're just going to give this a good wash. And I'm starting with the drawers because I like to paint with the grain of the wood. Even when I'm doing a wash, I want to go with the grain of the wood. So I will do these first, and we're going to let them sit for just a minute, and then we're going to wipe part of it back. Now this part in here, and I'm leaving the drawers in because we need to keep it solid. And so this, the grain runs up and down, so I'm going to get that, and I'm going to go ahead and get this piece. And you just have to work with your wood. And I like to work when I'm doing a wash like this in larger areas. And because it is a wash, we're not going to worry when we go to wipe it back about it being really even, because that's part of the beauty of a wash. But we do want to make sure that we're going with the grain. And now I'm just going to lay this down, and I'm just going to take some paper towels and I'm going to wipe this completely back because I don't want that to show when I go to work on it. And that's going to give us a nice line. I did pretty good over here, right there. But then we're going to take, we'll get a couple more paper towels. And we're just, I give it just a second for part of the paint to stick, and then we're just going to start wiping it back. I still want some of that wood to show, but I want the whitewashed look. And now keep in mind that we've got a whole other step to go. And if I want it darker, I can always come back and just add some. And I think I do want it darker. Now I could take the drawers out to do this part, but I'm just going to leave them in. All right, so I'm just going to keep going with the rest of this. Follow along, and when we come back, we're going to be taping off our design. Okay, so we have our base coat of Sweet Cream by the Plaster Paint Company. I have let it dry. I've gone in and already started doing some distressing, and I've made a boo-boo, but that's okay. We're going to cover it. I got confused on which side my stripes were going to go on, and I distressed where I didn't need to. That's fine. I figured out where I want the navy and the stars to be, and then the stripes. So I'm going to start with painting the red stripes. That way, if I make any mistakes getting over the line, we can cover it with the blue when we do the stars. And I went in with my silhouette and I just cut out some star shapes that we're going to lay down on here and paint over them, then peel them up like a reverse stencil. But I have them on this piece of felt because I'm trying to de-sticky them some, because I don't want them to stick to the paint. I've also already gone in and done a top coat with Superior Top Coat in matte over this, just in case these don't de-sticky enough. So that's where we're at, and then we're still going to deal with the top because that's just a little bit too light for me. So follow along as I do the red stripes, and this whole bottom drawer is going to be red. You'll see how it's going to turn out in just a second. Alright guys, it's time to deal with this top, and you can see that the top has some issues. So I want to make it darker. I want to make it look like a stain, but it's going to be a faux stain, and I also want to bring out more of the wood grain. This doesn't have, it's probably maple. It doesn't have a real prominent grain, but we're going to take care of that. So we're going to be using the Plaster Paint Company in chocolate, a brush, and our wood graining tool. So we're going to work from back to front just because that's what's the easiest. And I need to lay down some water on this top. Now you know that I have cleaned it really well. Got to move all my stuff. I've cleaned it really well with TSP, and I'm just getting a good layer of water down. This is going to help our paint to move. And we're going to work in sections. If you've never used a wood graining tool, you can tell mine is well loved. This is one of the most fun things that you can do. We want to get a pretty good coat of paint on And like I said, we're going to be working in sections. And I'm trying to stay over here so you can see what I'm doing. And we're not going to worry about the side edges or the front edges right now. And now we're just going to take our graining tool and we're going to lay it down and we're going to pull and we're going to rock as we pull. And you can see that that's going to give us a gorgeous grain pattern. So now we'll just move on to the next section. And I try to keep it in pretty straight lines. Move this a little bit. And for this one, I'm going to start, I started the first one in the middle of my graining tool. For this one, I'm going to start it in a different point. So I'm going to start it on the back. And then I want to make this look like planks. So I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to stop halfway, pick it up, lay it down on the front, and then just keep going. And then we will just work all the way across the top. And the way that we're going to deal with the edges is we're going to dry brush to make that look like wood grain too. And don't think for a minute that this is the last step. Of course it's not. But you can see why we add the water to our surface. It gives us more working time with the paint, and it makes our graining tool just glide across it. And for this one, I'm going to start back here. Pick it up, put it down on a different area. Now what we're doing is, as this dries, this paint will stay puddled to give us that graining effect. And then when we go over it, because we're going to do a special top coat, I gotta get that. It's just going to let that grain texture shine through. And it's going to give us the variations that we need. I think I can go ahead and lay paint down on the rest of this. Because the surprise is we're going to make our own glaze faux stain, because this is just a little bit too bright for me. And I'm just rocking as I pull it. Okay, we're going to let this dry and we'll be back to deal with this.